So he was just being fair dinkum, was he, when he said that climate change, at a time when the leaders seem to be anxious to raise the issue and commit even further, the Prime Minister boasted, in fact, that he'd scaled it back. There certainly seems to be a perception of resistance on his part to make this a central issue.
Well, it was actually, climate change was actually in the first original draft of the communique, which Australia distributed to the rest of the world, well before any deal between the United States and China, and obviously well before yesterday's speech from President Obama. So it was always going to be part of the discussion here at the G20. That's been on the table, so there's nothing particularly new about the discussion. It is an important issue, but ultimately the only way anyone can pay for all the initiatives you need to deal with climate change is to have money in the bank. And governments can only have money if they've got prosperous economies. And it comes back to the focus on growth and jobs.
You don't seem particularly impressed anyway by what Barack Obama said. You said there are question marks over what he said on climate change. Question marks over the commitment.
No. I didn't see his speech. I just made the point that Barack Obama has to get any initiative on climate change through a hostile US Congress.
And you don't see that happening?
And that's the challenge every government faces. Well, I mean, that's up to the US, but so far he hasn't had great success, and you never know. Hopefully he can do what he wants to do as president, but we all face those challenges. But we've got to do what we believe to be right for the nation, and he's doing what he believes to be right for the United States.
What did you make of him coming here and telling Australian university students to virtually rise up over the issue?
Oh, look, I didn't hear his speech, Barry. I was in meetings with finance ministers. We're the ones doing the hard work on the treadmill, and the leaders are, in the case of the president, he's entitled to give a speech, and he should give a speech. Out at a university. I didn't hear the full context of his statement.
Well, you might have read what Nicola Stern told the Financial Review over the weekend, and he was responsible for the groundbreaking report on climate change in 2006, and he said that the relegation of climate change to the margins of G20 is an outrageous example of one government placing political dogma ahead of the best interests of the world.
Well, I don't know if he read Nicola Stern. I'll ask him today.
No, I'm asking you as to whether you read it and what you say to that accusation that
No.
Your government placed political dogma ahead of the best interests of the world.
Well, it's not right.
Do you think you should have said more about climate change in the run-up to the conference?
Barry, let me tell you, this is an economic forum. This is about millions and millions of jobs. This is about getting people out of poverty. This is about how we are going to ensure that our children have jobs in the future, and of course, having a clean environment, having better quality environment is part of it. But we cannot afford to deal with climate change if governments are in recession or if countries are facing huge structural challenges.
Sure, but do you accept, though, that climate change potentially is one of the biggest impediments to growth?
No, I don't. Absolutely not. I mean, you just look at China. China's going to continue to increase emissions, Barry, until 2030. It's going to continue increasing emissions to 2030. Australia is doing the same amount of work on climate change as the United States over a 30-year period. So, frankly, what we're focused on is growth and jobs. And we want people to have the jobs that gives them the chance to have an income, that gives them a chance in many parts of the world to lift themselves out of poverty. I mean, what we're doing today is making decisions that are going to give people food and electricity and clean water, but also give them hope that tomorrow is going to be better than today.
And given what the United States and China has done, will you need now to do more in the run-up to 2025? You'll need to give commitments out to 2025. That, of course, means a new approach and more money?
Well, Barry, I'll leave that to the Environment Minister. And, of course, the Foreign Minister is going to Lima in 2 weeks' time for a UN conference to talk about that. There is a Paris conference next year that's going to talk about that. At the moment, right here in Australia, we have 85% of the world economy. We're focused on the mainstream economic issues, Barry. That's what we're actually focused on, the here and now of delivering growth, building Australia as a hub for global infrastructure, Australia to become the global hub of infrastructure, which is a huge potential announcement out of today. These are the things that make a huge difference to everyday Australians.